We have a breakdown for the salaries of the current salaries for elected officers. Big C? Oh, absolutely. Moving on to our final candidate of the night, Mr. Lowell. Thank you for coming, and you have 15 minutes to present yourself, and we'll do 15 minutes of question and answer if you are ready to go.
I am ready to go, and thank you very much. My name is John Lowell, and I wish to thank all of you for taking the time to consider my application for the Gunstock Area Commission. My speech is 5 minutes, so I will save the rest for any questions or that you may have. While I have much to learn about the operation, specific operations of Gunstock, I am confident in my knowledge and experience in operating resorts, ski resorts, and with New Hampshire tourism as well. During my almost 30 years in the career in the ski business, I've been part of the senior management team for 4 major New England resorts: Waterville Valley, Attitash Mountain Resort, Mount Snow in Vermont, and Wildcat Mountain. At Attitash, I served as the general manager and later as president of both Attitash and Wildcat. Additionally, I have been an owner-manager or managed major local New Hampshire attractions, including the Mount Washington cruise ship, Castle in the Clouds, and I've also managed summer operations at Attitash and Wildcat. This, combined with my extensive hospitality experience, makes me well suited to be a Gunstock Area Commissioner charged with advising and guiding Gunstock's management into the future. The ski business is not an easy business and is vulnerable to many uncontrollable outside variables. The reality of changing weather patterns is forcing the industry to look for the best ways to make snow with the limited windows that are provided, and to be as productive and effective, efficient as possible. Even before the current crisis, in Ukraine, energy challenges, including tight supply, have been driving up prices. Coal and nuclear plants are closing, and the natural gas delivery system is inadequate to meet our high demand for electricity periods. Typically, this tight supply can create a spike in the cost of electricity, and usually it's during prime snowmaking operating times. This puts incredible pressure on a snowmaking budget. The resort vehicles become more expensive to operate, including the snowcats, and they use a lot of fuel. Labor shortages and rising wages pressure management to find a creative balance between the bottom line and customer service. The cost of everything keeps increasing. The demographic shift in the population means fewer skiers and riders as we baby boomers age out of the sport. Conglomerates have taken over a large part of the industry, increasing competition and lifting guest expectations while offering great value and a plethora of mountain choices and products for that dwindling number of skiers. Now add a pandemic and the supply chain issues to the mix. These and other factors make running a ski area today even more difficult and complicated than ever before. And yet, Gunstock is thriving. This is not luck. I applaud the staff and management for doing a great job during these difficult times. It clearly indicates to me that we have the right staff in place to manage Gunstock's success into the future. I believe Gunstock should remain financially independent and not burden the taxpayers of Belknap County with subsidies. Building a rainy day fund will help insulate taxpayers from such occurrences. However, to remain viable, Gunstock must invest. The Gunstock Area Commission and management should give priority to many things, but without the most modern, efficient, and productive snowmaking technology, Gunstock will be vulnerable to failure during the ever-increasing warm spells and snowless winters. Customers expect modern, safe, and reliable lifts. Better lifts improve the guest experience and the ability to service a greater number of guests comfortably. Lifts are very expensive and are currently in high demand worldwide. Proper planning and funding are imperative. Many of Gunstock's competitors have or already are installing new lifts. This does not mean Gunstock needs to run out and buy the first lift that they can find. It needs to be planned. But competition is intense, and pleasing our guests and residents should be another top priority. People have many choices on how to spend their free time and their money. Only after a favorable return on investment is produced and studied should practical expansion of terrain that would result in more variety and a greater appeal to a broader spectrum of guests and comfortably provide services for more skiers and riders. While the financial contributions from the customers of Belknap County are tremendously important, contributions from those other folks are what tips the scale of profitability and provides the needed boost to keep Gunstock financially independent. Clean, functional lodges, a modern ski school and rental programs, up-to-date retail offerings, and adequate food and beverage outlets are critical to the guest experience and drive incremental revenue while creating returning customers. The residents and guests deserve the best that we can provide. Gunstock's management and development should be guided by prudent decisions by knowledgeable Gunstock area commissioners, carried out with full transparency and accountability, working efficiently, effectively, and exclusively for the benefit and success of Gunstock Mountain. Remaining financially self-sufficient while keeping up with industry trends and guest expectations should guarantee a quality, viable resort from which we can all benefit and enjoy with pride. I would welcome the opportunity to offer my expertise and years of service experience to help guide Gunstock's continued success into the future. And I thank you again for your consideration, and I'll now be pleased to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you very much. Questions? Representative Harvey Foley.
Hi.
Thank you very much for your application. I've asked all the applicants the same question. How do you feel about discounts for Belknap County residents as far as ski tickets?
That's a wonderful idea. I don't know, again, I haven't studied the financial numbers for Gunstock. I guess that would depend on a business plan and a budget plan to see how that would affect the bottom line. I think it's certainly something that should be investigated and looked at. I thought years ago there was a season's pass for Belknap residents that was a discounted price, but I may be wrong on that. Yeah.
Representative Johnson, then Representative Terry.
Thank you very much for
reading your application, I really appreciate it. I have the same question about all applicants. What is your vision for Gunstock? And, and also ideas that you might think would be good to just, to look over for expanding the opportunities for the summer at Gunstock?
My vision for Gunstock would be to remain financially independent so that the taxpayers of Belknap County don't have to kick in support. I also think my vision for Gunstock is one of the legitimate, maybe not the right word, but respected resorts in the state. Skiing is the state's official sport, and Gunstock has a long history in producing Olympic athletes and skiers and riders, and I will also mention that I failed to put on my resume that I have been off the Gunstock jump at least 70 or 80 times. I don't know whether I would go off it right now, but, so, I think there's a lot of opportunities there. Summer is a tricky business, and many ski areas have gotten into the idea that, build it and they will come. And some people have built stuff and it hasn't worked out. And so it needs, that needs to be studied and understood completely, is what is the demand in the local area. Years ago, everybody came up for a week's vacation and they stayed in the little cottages and colonies and motels and hotels. And many of those have been converted to condominiums. And so you have more of a market that visits more often, that stays here more often. So you don't have that turnover of new people that are always going to be trying or wanting to try new things. So that's one factor that would certainly need to be considered. Summer is a great way to stop the bleeding and maintain key year-round employees. It is not your bread and butter, and never will. Gunstock has a unique opportunity with the camping and with the hiking and all of that kind of things. But again, if you were, I haven't looked at the numbers, obviously, but if I would bet that if you looked at the campground, for instance, it's not supporting Gunstock substantially. It hopefully is profitable, and that's great. But skiing is the bread and butter, and that's where the focus should be.
Representative Terry.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Lowell, for your application and your resume and your presentation thus far this evening and responses to questions. I know over the course of what appears to be, if my math is correct, apparently a 45-year career, 1975 to 2020. Most recently president of Papash Mountain Resorts. Was that 2011 through 2019 or 2020?
No, I retired in September of 20 from Attica.
Right, so you were there from 11 to 20 as the president?
Well, actually, originally, when I left Waterville Valley, I went to work at the Attitash Grand Summit Hotel.
Okay.
Then I became the manager of Attitash Mountain. Then Peak Resorts purchased Attitash and Mount Snow and a bunch of other stuff. And I was transferred to Mount Snow to be the director of lodging. They put a brother-in-law in my spot. 4 years later, I was invited to come back, and the brother-in-law was invited to leave. I ran the mountain for several years, and then Peak purchased Wildcat, and so they put that under my umbrella as well.
Thank you. Actually, I didn't mean to have you drill down into all those 9 years, but thank you for the additional information and even the colorful presentation information. So it appears that, over the course of your career, that you were very strong in the areas of management. Would you say that that's correct from what
Yes.
I'm reading? Okay, so in applying for a gun stock area commissioner, you'd be moving from, essentially management to a board of directors position, and not a private board of directors where the meetings are usually behind closed doors, but a board of directors that holds public meetings. So I'm fascinated to know, intrigued to know what your response would be, why at this time you are interested in moving to a board of directors type of position, what strengths, gifts, talents, abilities you think that you could bring at this time in your career and in your life.
Well, I'm moving from being retired to applying from a gun stock commission. But, you know, throughout my career, I've been on condominium boards, for instance, that were kind of public to the membership, if you would. I've been representing Attitash and Wildcat in the public eye for a long time. There have been some challenges that have been faced by those resorts over the past that I got to be the face of, like it or not. And so I view myself as someone who likes to listen to all sides of the debate or the issues, if you will, and give everybody a chance. And then I like to present my opinion and let people, you know, comment on that. I have no affiliation with whatever has gone on here in the past. I have never been in politics before. I am retired, and I thought that this was a perfect opportunity for me to share my expertise and my knowledge for the benefit of the communities in Belknap County. And I'm hoping it's not going to be a 60-hour-a-week job, but I am available to do whatever is necessary.
Thanks. Real quick follow, just because I would you share with us how many meetings of the Gun Stock Area Commission that you've attended?
I've only attended one, and that was the most recent one in the Guilford Library building.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Representative Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for taking my question.
Certainly.
We spoke, the other day, so thank you for that,
Yes.
for reaching out. When we discussed it, you're a season pass holder at Blue Mountain and not Gunstock. And I've only, can you tell me, you've only skied there twice this year, why it is that you choose not to make Gunstock your home mountain while you're a Belknap County resident?
Gunstock is 1/2 hour from my house. Loon is a 1/2 hour from my house. The pass at Loon also includes Sunday River and Sugarloaf. Sugarloaf is at the edge of the earth, and I don't expect to be going there to visit, but my family lives in Bridgeton, Maine, and that's a 1/2 hour from Sunday River. My in-laws have passes there. I thought that I might be able to use it to ski with them, that they could come over to Loon, and that's the reason.
What would your top 3 priorities be for Gunstock? What do you think the top 3 priorities are for Gunstock need to be if you were?
Well, first we need to get a house in order and get everybody pulling in the same direction. Secondly, we need to look at, as I said in my presentation, if you don't have the best snowmaking system that you can afford, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. And without the snow, you don't have to worry about any of the other services whatsoever. So it's just that important. I think many of the ski areas have lost sight of the core business, which is skiing and riding. And I think that, 100 years ago, American Skiing Company, Les Otten, had the vision about it was the snow, it's the snow, it's kind of like, you know, it's the economy stupid. It's the snow stupid, you know, that's what makes the sport. A lot of ski areas got distracted, and ASC, for example, got into expansion and building hotels, and they fell on their face. So I think you need to stay focused on the main objective or main business of the resort, which is skiing, and provide the very best product that you can. By doing so, I believe strongly that you're going to continue to grow your visits, your base, your season's pass holders, and the result of all of that is hopefully financial independence and no need to be back in front of you folks asking for RADs.
How's my time?
30 seconds.
Go ahead.
Very
Well, thank you for your application. The last applicant mentioned how he had come to apply for this position. I was wondering, how did you come to apply for this particular position as opposed to the one that was a couple of months ago? And what exactly took till the last day?
Well, thank you for your question. My wife and I were on vacation in March. For 2 weeks, we were out at Vale and Beaver Creek skiing. I came back home, and my wife and I were invited to a dinner party, and we went. And lo and behold, at that dinner party was Tom and Beth Day. There was some conversation, general conversation about gunstock, of course, because of Tom's affiliation. And after that dinner, I had said to my wife, you know, maybe I should apply for the open position. And I had some discussions with her. I did a little homework, I did a little reading, and I finally decided that it was something that I wanted to do. And so I submitted my application before the deadline.
Thank you.
All right, I think that takes care of our time. When my clerk asks for a 5-minute recess, she gets it. We'll be back at 9:35, and we still have a bit of business to take care of, so let's be back here
Crop tape.